What is up, guys? Welcome back to this episode of the Road to Redemption podcast. I'm, as always, your grateful host, Cam Williamson, and it's going to be the toughest episode I've ever done. Lost my mom. I'm sure a lot of you that follow me on all my other platforms have seen that. We'll just get into it, man, as best I can. I've been trying to think for days, how am I going to talk about this? Where's it going to go? I have no idea, so let's just get right into it. This whole couple weeks has been a whirlwind. Couple weeks ago, whenever I put that video up, my mom went into the hospital, and things did get very bad. She just physically started feeling very terrible and, wasn't able to communicate a lot, not because she couldn't, but just she was uncomfortable and in a lot of pain. She was just waiting on different tests and stuff to come back. So we didn't really think that we were like at the end, right? We knew she had stage 4 terminal cancer. We knew that, but we had been told this whole time, like, we don't know how long. So she goes in the hospital and she ends up in this little tiny hospital where she lives. And they weren't able to take very good care of her. A woman with cancer needs a lot of stuff, and they didn't have any of that stuff. So she was essentially just sitting on a banana bag, an IV, for a week, waiting to be transferred over to this, full-on cancer hospital that she went to. Well, by the time she had gotten there, and I was there, luckily, the day, it was a Tuesday, that I believe, that her doctor came in and said, hey, if we can get you to eat something, and if you can take medicine by mouth, we'll let you go home. Again, we don't know for how long, we don't know, but that's the plan. 10 minutes later, I have that conversation. I have it as a video because I was videoing every time a doctor would talk to share it with my family. I have the timestamps of both videos. Within 10 minutes, that doctor said that. Then her oncologist calls and goes, Jeannie, the fight's over. There's nothing left. Your liver's failed, and it's not coming back. And luckily, it was my sister and myself alone with my mom when she received that call. And I watched my mom, who had fought so hard for so long, just go, okay. And she immediately made the plan of what she wanted her hospice situation to look like. Within seconds, just, all right, that's what we're going to do. So then we sat for days knowing that we were losing her. But again, you don't know when. But now you know that this situation of being in a hospital is not going to end until everything ends. She passed away. I'm sorry. Dates and stuff are just terrible. She passed away, I believe, on a Thursday at 3:15 in the morning. I was asleep and I got the call that I needed to come down. It was just my stepfather who was with her when it happened, which is good. That's what she would have wanted. And luckily he was peacefully sleeping, so he didn't, But yeah, we lost her. So immediately days following, it's just kind of, you're in a weird holding place. Now she's gone. You've walked out of the hospice room. You've said goodbye. And now you have a couple days where people have to figure stuff out. When is visitations going to be? And when's her burial going to be? And what all does that look like? And what role do I play as her son in that? So in that time, while we were in the hospital, I want to say this. Everyone grieves differently, right? Some people act out. Some people talk more. Some people joke. Some people go silent. Some people can't do anything but hysterically cry. Some people physically get ill. People grieve in every way imaginable, and I've seen it. Because one thing about my mother, and everyone who's been around the situation can agree, there's no person that was loved more in this world. We were in a major cancer hospital, and these nurses were going, I've never seen this many people come up for one patient. We honestly thought she was a celebrity. Hundreds of people coming through. And that's a lot, right? That's a lot, especially, I'm her son. I've known my mother for 32 years, but I also didn't know her while she had some of these friends. But I was also very intertwined with some of them for some periods of my life and some not. So you get not only the death of your mother, but you get everything from your past thrown back in your face within a week. And there's no managing that. I could just tell you, like, there's no managing even the loss of your mom. Whether it's quick, whether you sit and watch it for months, years, whatever, there's no preparation for that. And there's no right way to handle it. You know, there's wrong ways to handle it for sure. Being mean to people and drinking your sorrows away, that's not the way to do it. But it's so much all at one time. You think I'm just dealing with the loss of my mom. It's not that. You're also learning, like, what my role was my whole life. And how well did I play that role and how well did I not? And now I am, you know, one new thing all by myself where, like, I'm not a son anymore. That's hard. And then you have to deal with all the people coming up and giving you hugs. Oh, we love you. We're always here for you, whatever. Well, some of these people weren't always. And again, like, there is history between people, and there's weird shit that people don't speak about, but they show up on the day of a funeral and go, oh, you know, whatever. And then you leave there just in a complete fog. My mother's service was on a Friday. No, I don't fucking know. Whatever. Couple days ago, we buried my mom. Beautiful little service. Was very hard. I pallbeared her. Figured I'd give her one last walk. And yeah, it sucked because at one point during the service, while it was over, they told people to come up and grab flowers if they wanted, and someone leaned on the casket and broke the top of it. And everyone started getting into tizzy and, you know, wanted to freak out. And I took a step back because we did while they fixed it. And I just told my family, I said, did you guys honestly expect anything else? Like, no one deserved all of this any less than that woman. And everyone that walked through there agreed that she was literally a saint that this world didn't deserve, was said by a pastor. And, like, I guess that's the route we'll go with this now, is because I'm not going to go into the details and the drama of my mom's passing, you know, between people and whatever, because there was almost fights, there was all kinds of stuff, but it doesn't matter now. What I can tell you, and I hate to be this guy, but this is just the reality that life has shown me so much. Life just does not care. It doesn't care how much you've gone through or how much you think you can handle, or it's going to lay everything on you that it's going to. It doesn't care. You think life cares if you had your heart broken 6 months ago and then takes your mother within 6? Nope. You think it cares that, like, you're a 32-year-old man and your mom was your best friend who you talked to 5-6 times a day and helped you with literally everything, like work shit out, you know? And then one day, gone. And, you know, I've done a pretty good job over the last year of isolating myself, where I felt like I had nobody and I felt like nobody had my back at all. And up until even recently, I've reached out to, you know, situations that I knew weren't going to come through for me, or, you know, whatever. And I you know, I've just realized, man, that this life, right, it's hard, and it's hard on everybody. And one thing I've learned through all this is, like, nobody takes their worst day and goes, I'm going to be the worst version of myself from here on out because of this day, right? But there are people who would take you at your worst day and go, that's who you will be to me forever, and there's no changing that, right? Through all my self-isolation that I've done in the past year, I've pushed myself to a pretty low, pretty bottom. Going through major heartbreak and family stress of courts and kids and stuff like that, and trying to, hang on financially when you can, and trying to hang on to a dream when you can, and trying to be a good father and like do all these things. Taxing isn't the word. Draining isn't the word. But like when you get to that level of low, and you're so just broken to a sense, you become very aware of the people who are sincere. Because I'll tell you, I have found a nice community recently, and people that genuinely do care about me and want to see me succeed, and don't want to see bad people in my life, and don't want to see me do bad things to myself, and that are actually taking steps, like showing up to make sure I don't do those things. Holding me accountable when I need to be held accountable, and loving me when I need to be loved. And, there's some times where, and this is something I've not always been good at, but I've had to learn here recently, which is sometimes people need stern, hey, get your shit together, because there's no other option right now. Get it together. You have to, for you and your kids, right? And you can say that in a nice way. Hey, man, get it together, right? I love you, but you got to get your shit together. And then there's a time to not do any of that and just sit with a person, hug them, listen to them, say, I understand. I know how painful that was. I could totally relate to how much pain you're in, and that this is not going to be something that goes away tomorrow or next week or next month. And sometimes I think the biggest flaw that we do as human beings is when trauma strikes or when terrible things happen, we want it to be done the next day. So we move on to the next thing or the next person or the next drink or the next whatever. And we just look for that because we're so unwilling to look at anything else. Another way to do things. A way to maximize this life, right? I'll tell you, and I guess this is just going to take a different detour for a second. When you lose someone like your mom, and I understand that everyone has a different relationship with their mom. Mine and my mother's relationship was not always the best. We went times where we didn't speak, and it wasn't always the best. But I always knew my mom loved me, and she knew I loved her. And we cleared everything up at the end. That there was no doubt about nothing. But one thing that's hard, it's really hard. And remember, I'm only a couple days removed from this. We just put my mother in the ground this last Sunday. So it's one of those things where I still find myself 3, 4, 5 times a day just when I get in my car. That was a big one. As soon as I get up in the morning, I would always call her. Hey, how you doing? How you feeling? Whatever. So now it's still my first instinct to grab my phone and go, let me call Mom. Or when I get home from work or whatever. Hey, Mom, I made it home. Whatever. And when you can't do that, yeah, I'm not going to lie and say there's not times where I'm not driving down the road and I just look up at the sun and, hey, love you, Ma. I hope you're watching, But it's not the same. I was very fortunate that Ma, while she was in the hospital, left me 2 separate voicemails. One was kind of drugged out and delirious and, it was fine. But the other one was really heartfelt and was her really leaving me a solid gift. So that's nice. I try not to listen to it too much because it'll, But it's nice that I have that. And, one thing I'll tell you, this is probably how I'll end it. When people are going through the lowest times of their life, people show you what they really feel about you. So if they think you're a fucking asshole, degenerate, piece of garbage, whatever, that's how they're going to treat you when you're at your lowest. And they'll have no problem doing it. And if you mean nothing to somebody, they're going to show you that because they're not going to say shit to you. Because your life doesn't mean nothing. And they'll probably even have secret conversations behind your back. So they can get their closure and fuck all to you, right? It happens. And people from the past that shouldn't show up, they show up. And people that should show up don't. And people make the death of another person about them. People use it as an excuse to treat people poorly. And, they act in certain ways and go, well, yeah, I'm grieving. All I've done is used it as a microscope to see how do you treat people, not just me. How are you treating them? How are you treating her? How are you treating him? How are you talking to each other? When you leave here, how are you acting? And when you're here, what does it look like? Are you creating this facade, or you haven't trying to have genuine time with people that are truly, truly suffering. It's very exposing when you go through something this vulnerable, because you are so wide open emotionally, not voluntarily. It's just you can't. You're so raw. You got to understand, like for the last 2 weeks, every couple hours, I'm getting some life-changing news of some kind. And life doesn't stop. You think while you're dealing with all this with your mom, your light bill's still not due, and your work schedule still doesn't need to be figured out, and your schedule with your kids still doesn't need to be figured out. Because guess what? You get some grace. People were great, honestly. Like I had some people that were really fantastic and being like, I could not have gotten through this without them. I couldn't. But there were other people, man, that were not, and did not give me a single second of understanding, empathy. They, could not just find a kind moment for me, and had no problem just hammering down on me when everyone knew I was hanging on by a fucking thread. And that's hard, man. That's hard. Because, again, you just have to look at people and go, damn, you were willing to beat me up when I was on the floor bleeding and just fucked up. You had no problem just socking another one right to me because you don't care. But I'll tell you, when you lose somebody like your mother, you realize how unimportant a lot of other people are. No matter what emotional attachment you had to them, or no matter what times you had together, the dreams you thought, there's no dream that you had more of like the relationship of your mother and your kids on holidays in the future. And I don't get that anymore. So I don't have these grand dreams of what my life looks like. I'm hoping that at some point life just stops kicking the shit out of me, and that I'll be around long enough for my kids to say that their dad didn't fall apart at the loss of his mom, and that I actually turned into a better man because of that, because that's what I'm trying to do. Is I'm just trying to make my mom proud at this point. Whether she's actually watching or not, I don't know. But one of the last things I told her is, Ma, we're all good here. We're good. I got everybody. Everybody's fine. Just enjoy the show from now on, because I'm going to make you proud. And, I hope she does. I hope she does, because, you guys look around my apartment here. Most people don't know this. It was decorated 90% by her. All the books and the records are mine, but like all the foliage and all the Ray Dunn shit you see, that was my mother just giving me stuff when I moved in. He was like, here, your place looks like a stale whatever. You need to dress it up a little bit. Most everything I have in this place is because my mother gave it to me. This little thing, everything. So it's like, I still feel her all around me. And, that's how you get through the days. You keep reminders, you keep the good memories, and you remember the lessons that she gave while she had time to do it. And she gave a lot. One thing I told her was, I wish I would have never argued with you. I wish I would have just always said, Ma, you're right. You're right. And no matter how my life would have played out, I guarantee it would have played out a lot better than ever arguing with her and then having that regret. So I'll tell you, I don't know what your relationship looks like with your mom, whoever. You got people you really love tonight, call them and tell them how much you really love them, and just thank them for being in your life. You don't have to make it more weird than that, but just say, hey man, I was thinking about you, and you're somebody that's really important to me, and I love you a lot. And, if you sincerely mean it, tell them. If you ever need anything, man, I'm right here. One call away. But you got to be willing to answer that phone, get in the car, and go. Because when people call at their lowest, that's really what they need. So, I love you guys. I hope you had a good 4th of July. My family did meet over the 4th of July weekend. It was our first event without my mom. It was tough. Nobody was, we had just come off all the services and stuff, so nobody was really in the mood to do anything. No fireworks, no fishing, no nothing like that. Everyone just chill and ate a ton of food. That's really how my family handles things, is we just pile the room with food. Everyone gathers, and, everyone tries to carry on as if it's normal, and that's pretty much what we did. So it was heavy. It was heavy because, July 4th was my grandmother's birthday and some other people's birthday that mean a lot to me. It was also like my grandfather's birthday while all this was going on, which we just lost him 3 years ago. That's my mom's dad. You know, my grandma was in the heat of all this. My mom's mom, my grandpa's wife, was in the heat of all this, now losing, after just losing her husband, is now losing her child. So to watch the amount of pain and suffering and also strength that was shown between my mom, my aunts, my grandmother, my sisters, you know, so many other people that just held it down when it needed to be held down. You know, everyone's going to go through their times where they need to fall apart for a minute. And, you know, it really shows who stands there for you when you're going, I got nothing left. Can you just be a comfort or a kindness to me right now? Go out there and be a comfort and a kindness to somebody, because I love you guys so much. I'll talk to you later.